It's Naomi Girma's world, and we're all just living in it. Tonight is the night. The great Girma made us realise that when it comes to the United States goal scoring, our nation's not just blessed with a triple espresso. It's actually quadruple espresso season. And our gold medal winning number one in the world again, United States women's national team, have just played their third and final friendly against Argentina in the mighty city of Louisville. Ended after a combative 90 minutes. Rose Lavelle's celebration and Naomi Girma scoring when she wants. 3-0 United States amidst all those mint juleps in that great city. It's a joy to break it all down with the single greatest, that's objective by the way, a human wonder that I learn so much from every time I'm with her, including the fact that she's a secret Real Madrid fan. Welcome to the mighty Becky Sauerbrunn.
Raj, thanks. It wasn't really a secret that I was a Real Madrid fan. I was just like in the very strong minority at a time when everyone was just a Barca fan. And
God,
yeah, and
it's so
now
not on brand. It is
I
so
know.
not, It is so like, I just interviewed Noah Conn and I said the same to him. He's a massive Chelsea fan. I'm like, you don't really expect it. But these two things do not go together. But my God, I loved what you said. Where I was like, big picture before this game. I was like, what are you seeing in this team, this lineup? What was your take, Becky?
My take was, oh, Emma, thank you for resting all the Thorns players. Big picture, that's what matters most.
It is. It's always club over country, says Roger, putting words into Becky Sauerbrunn's mouth that she would never say herself. But it's great to be with you tonight. God, thank God all the Thorns are rested. That big game coming up this Friday against Angel City. But we're not here alone. Oh, we are with you, dear fans of the women's game on this Do It Live. You are a massive part of this show. Come and ask us all your questions about tonight, about the US women's programme in general, Emma Hayes, Rose Lavelle, Wilma the dog, anything. We'll take them all. Just scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. It'll take you into a Zoom with our producer Sophie, who'll bring you up to ask you a question for Becky. Come and be with us. It's audio only, so don't be afraid. Put your comments in. We'll read the best ones out. Give this YouTube a like. Follow it so you do not miss a moment of Sam Lewis-inflected wonder. Hit that subscribe moment now. Are you ready for this, Becky?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so happy to be here with you, Raj, and very, very excited to break this down.
God bless the United States of America. What an international window this has been. First victory against Iceland in Austin, in which Emma Hayes instantly became the best Emma in Austin since Emma by Jane Austen. Been saving that one for ages and I don't know why I have. But on Sunday, we bounced back in Nashville. It's trailing for the first time in Emma's tenure against Iceland again. They are good at football. Tonight against Argentina. By the way, these friendlies in this window, they are such a strange mix, Becky, of the celebratory, but also, for a portion of the squad, a new audition. Green shoots everywhere. But tonight was about one thing more than anything. It was a celebration of Rose Lavelle. She became the 43rd United States player to ring up her 100 caps between 2017 and 24. Really the blink of an eye. 7 incredible years of stunning footwork and vision. About 100 hilariously funny tweets which he rations out, and one of the most charismatic singular marching to the beat of her own drum game changers that the United States has ever seen. I mean, you played with her. You can describe her better than anybody, really.
She, as a player, is just like such a wonderful combination of skill, swag, spontaneity, intelligence. Even the way she plays is like, it's optimistic, which is a lot like her personality.
That is such a beautiful thing. Rose Lavelle, optimistic, and my Lord, we all need that kind of optimism in our life right now. I mean, she is a human joy. She is a bolt of positive front foot wonder. I know her as someone that loves football, the city of Cincinnati, and is honestly happiest just hanging out at home on her couch in her sweatpants with her dog who stole the night.
Stole it.
Yeah, stole it. I'm like, why were we even playing the game? Just let's have 90 minutes of the camera on Wilma Jean Wrinkles.
Please. Like, was Wilma Jean in the suite with the family the rest of the game?
No, I think the family were in a suite with Wilma Jean Wrinkles. I'm pretty sure it was her suite, Wilma's. I mean, that's how she rolls. You know Rose really well. I mean, you know Wilma Jean Wrinkles. We could just talk about Wilma Jean Wrinkles all night. I'd be so happy. But when you think of your time with Rose in the US program, what story captures the singular essence of that of that kind of Lavelle singularity?
I mean, she probably is happiest in sweats with her dog. Give her a Kindle and, you probably wouldn't hear from her for like a week because she would just be so content. But when I think of Rose, like when there's like a party or a celebration, like she's so down and ready to go and she always brings the vibes. And in 2022, we held our inaugural Players Ball. It's like this huge gala that our Players Association puts on, and we kind of celebrate the year. We celebrate retirements and milestones and all these things. And I don't even know how it happened, but she gets on stage and sings, not even lip syncs, but sings Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now. And that is not an easy song. It's a long song as well. And she's just up there by herself, like rocking it out. And I'm standing next to Marty, her dad, and he's like on his phone just recording the whole thing. The pride that this man was emanating, it was like as if she had scored the goal in the 2019 World Cup final. It was like he was just as proud of her on that stage as he was on the soccer stage.
That's amazing. We're scoring the winning goal in the World Cup final there. Watching his daughter just do the whole of the Celine Dion act with probably barely a no out of place, may even have probably taken the top spot. That is it. Theodore Pavlich in the chat says player of the match, Girma, dog of the match, Wilma. I mean, there's only one dog in that fight, Theodore Pavlich. I was actually bummed that Wilma did not win player of the match too. I bet you Naomi would have loved it. Knowing Naomi, yeah. She would have seeded that in a heartbeat, right?
Oh yeah, she would have given that right up to Wilma.
Wilma would be smashing those Michelob Ultras with great abandon. To tonight's game, what is the mood around a game like this? Because you played a ton of these friendlies after wins in tournaments. It's this whole window is almost like one of those kind of like Greek mythological figures, like a minotaur that's part bull, part human. They're kind of half celebration of the Olympic gold medal achievement, but they're also half fresh-faced audition. Some of the squad are the heroes that won it all. Some are fighting to catch the manager's eye for the first time. Lots of them tonight, hoping to take the places in the playing time of the very heroes who won gold in the first place. What they like to play in. I mean, you've got like Haran and Lavelle just enjoying themselves tonight, right? And then you got debutantes like Eva Gaitan of PSG, Alyssa Malonzo of Bay FC, 25-year-old goalkeeper Mandy Hort of Utah, probably feeling debutante nerves. Are these weird games to play?
It's never weird. I will say that sometimes the tone is set from our technical staff, like from the beginning. We've had some celebration tours that they're like pouring the wine for us. They're like, yeah, like we're just here to party and have a good time. And then there are some that are like, oh, absolutely not. This is an evaluation period. Our eye is set to the next World Cup, the next Olympics. So usually it's nice when the tone is kind of set, but it's always finding the balance between these types of friendlies. They really shouldn't even call them friendlies because nothing about it is friendly. There's always a balance of, like you said, like the debutantes wanting to show, wanting to stick around. Then you have the Rose Lavelles and all these 100 cappers that are like, no, I want my spot. I can feel you knocking on the door, but I'm not giving you a sniff. And so there's just always this competition, and it always makes the level rise higher and higher and higher.
I love that idea that sometimes like the performance coach and the health staff were pouring the wine for you.
Yeah, they're like, go.
Hand out the goblets. That's a lot of comments about Wilma, as there should be. Kerry Salmon, can we get Wilma Jean on the show? Can I just tell you, Kerry Salmon, we texted Sam. I said, please, can we get a photo of you and Wilma? Like, genuinely, do you think Wilma would mind? Do you think Wilma's people would mind if you took a photo? I got that beautiful photo of Sam Mewis and Wilma, and I was like, instantly, my heart melted, and I just wanted to have it tapestried into a throw pillow. It's just utterly, utterly perfect. I mean, tonight it was a very experimental side. We had 0 espresso at kickoff, or so we thought. 3 uncapped players that I've already mentioned, but the star of this game, and every game right now, is Emma Hayes. We can't take this for granted. I think, Becky, we're not spoken about this together on a show. Like, we can't normalise Emma Hayes, having her lead a team in our nation. She's picked up Coach of the Year at the Ballon d'Ors. She is, if you spend time with her, I mean, she is so bloody smart, footballingly smart, but to spend time with her, she's so humanly, emotionally smart, so thoughtful. I know she's been making her rounds across NWSL past month. I know she was out in Portland a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what that's like when she kind of is at games. But from what you're seeing, what do you make of her? What are you hearing? How does she seem similar to US coaches past and different?
Yeah, no, she was definitely making the rounds. I think she was actually paraded around Providence Park to just amazing ovation and applause and admiration. And I mean, yeah, she's almost as big a star as the stars of the team. And I think what kind of changes, what's different about Emma from past coaches is that they've all had confidence, but it's been maybe like a quirky confidence or a quiet confidence. And Emma just kind of exudes it. And I think you see that in the way that she interacts with her players and the way she interacts with the public. And I think that kind of confidence is really contagious. And I think you see that kind of trickling down to all the players. All the players seem very calm, having a great time on the field. They never seem stressed. And it's really lovely to see. It seems like the vibes are just very, very good right now.
The vibes are high. When you say that she's almost as high profile as the players, honestly, when I look at football in America right now, I actually see with the World Cup coming, Emma might be, come 2026, the face of football in America for both men and women. She's got that kind of personality, that kind of standing, that kind of stature, that kind of analysis. We are living in remarkable times. But one question I did want to ask you, because it's something we always talk about and have always talked about. It's about the mentality of this team, which we know is handed on almost biblically, generation to generation, but often slowly, gradually, over time. And this to me feels like a time of really fast change. You know, a slew of that heroic generation have all retired at once. There's so much new blood. Lynn Williams said something fascinating this week after the Iceland game at the weekend. She said the US mentality is we're going to bring it, we're going to claw, we're going to fight, we're going to come back. Yes, we were down, but we believe in ourselves, and that's what it takes to win. And I wondered, in this new squad where there are so many young players now, how is that mentality passed on when there is all those green shoots entering the program en masse?
Well, I would say a lot of it was very intentional. I mean, we would have like me, Kelly O'Hara, Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, like we would sit down with the Lindsey Horans, Sam Ewis's, Rose Lavelles, Mal Swanson's, and just talk about all things USWNT. And it could be things behind the scenes that, you know, the public never even hears about. It could be like, hey, there's an issue. How do we ask for what we need? It can be just like we call it a sharing of scars, and not just like the physical scars you have on your body, but the experiences that we've gone through throughout our 10 years on the team. And just kind of like, let's make it a little bit easier for the next generation. Let's not, you know, gatekeep any of these answers. And Sam actually spoke to it really well on the last Do It Live, that even just being there to witness some of these things happening is kind of the best education. And it kind of made me think about some of the moments during my time with the women's national team where I was on the bench and I'm watching these things happen, and it clicks in my mind like, oh, this is what it takes to win a game. This is what it takes to stay on the national team. And I think about one of my first caps. We're in Mexico. We're losing to Mexico in the qualifications to get to the 2011 World Cup. Abby busts open her face. Abby Wambach. She comes over to the sidelines and she's just bleeding. And I'm thinking, oh, she's going to get subbed out. And she's yelling at the athletic trainers like, no, staple up my face. And it's just like, joom, joom, joom. Stapled up her face. She got right back out there. And that was for me like, oh, like that's the mentality that you need to have. Like pain, it's a privilege. And then another one that hit me was, okay, the quarterfinals, I think at the 2011 World Cup, we're playing Brazil. We're a woman down and we're a goal down in like the waning minutes of this match. And I'm like, watching on the bench with Lori Lindsay, and we were like, how are we going to get back into this? You know, the Brazilian players were going down, they were wasting time. And we just see this beautiful passage of play. And Megan Rapinoe hit this like majestic left-footed cross to Abby's head. And we're celebrating. And it's like, oh, this is how you win a game. This is how you will yourself and your teammates to get it done. And I just love that that is being passed on generation to generation. And I would take great pride in knowing that I have helped the Mals, the Lindsays, and whoever just to carry on those traditions.
It's incredibly beautiful. In the comments, Laura JC says, Becky is a mastermind. I want to be quite clear. I think Becky should be president, but that's just how I roll. I do love also the notion of young Becky on the bench watching Abby Wambach go up to the athletic trainer and say, staple the head. And you're like, wow, the person who gives us the wine also staples the head. I'm learning how it's done in this program, and I like it. I mean, that's an amazing story, but you had that transition period. Abby Wambach is, I mean, an epic poet warrior for the ages. But this is a mass moment of, I mean, it does feel, Becky, as if there's like a retirement ceremony for this US team almost every week. You know, but there were 100 cap. It's like they're really jamming them in. So who does it now that there's no Rapinoe, no Kelly O'Hara, no Alex Morgan, you know, triple espresso are the face of the team, but Sophia Smith, Mel Swanson, like they're incredibly introverted personalities. They're quite honest about being introverted personalities.
Yeah, and I also am very introverted, and I think a player like Mal Swanson, who might be quiet in her interactions, like with the public, internally, I mean, she is absolutely a leader. I have seen her take over tactical meetings to discuss tactics. I see her on the field pointing and trying to figure out problems. And so even if you're quiet or introverted, it does not mean you're ineffective. And I think you also need to look at players like Lindsey Horan, Alyssa Nair, Rose Lavelle. And even though she's younger, we all know she can do absolutely everything. Naomi Girma, everything.
Vice President Naomi Girma on the Becky Sauerbrunn ticket. There are a number of human beings who do want me to make it clear that you too ended up cutting your head open in a remarkable way, and it going for, I'm looking for the comment right now because it was a really beautiful comment in the chat, and I do apologize if someone can find this for me. I mean, ultimately you lived that out yourself, but you're too modest to say that. It was you later bleeding, saying, staple me up, wine bearer.
Yeah, I was like, 'tis but a flesh wound, wrap it up and get me back out there. I've seen way worse.
And you have. And by the way, part of this to me makes Emma even more important. She does become the conduit for that mentality in a way few US women's coaches have done before. But to this game, we're going to take your questions in a minute. Come on up and be with us. But, I mean, let's be clear. Argentina are not Iceland. Iceland were adept. Iceland are tactically cohesive. Iceland are almost a symbol of the European game to come, a program that's really up and coming. Real investment on both sides, the men's and the women's game in Iceland in a really fascinating way. The program in Argentina, I mean, it's a story that we're far too familiar with in awful ways. They've had to battle for respect and investment, even in a football culture that on the men's side borders on a religion, surpasses it in many regards. To fight these women's players have had to wage for basic resources. I mean, their best players have had to go on strike. It's all too familiar on the women's side of the game. It's all too heartbreaking. And we knew going in this would be a different game. US has beaten Argentina all 5 previous games. I think they've outscored them 32-1. When you play these friendlies against teams like this, Becky, how much game film do you watch? How much of it is just about working out the way you want to play, the style, the traits you want to enforce, focusing on being proactive and dominant from a US mentality, and how much you actually know about your opponents?
Yeah, so for every single game in a scouting report, we kind of go over the opponent's 4 phases of play, and that is organized attack, organized defense, attacking transition, defending transition. So we're going to see clips from every single facet. And then we're also going to go over their set pieces. I mean, this is guaranteed. Doesn't matter if we're playing 130th ranked team in FIFA or the second in the world. And there might be something in particular that we see in the scouting report, like, hey, we can capitalize on this space, or this player is not great at this. So you might tweak something here or there, but we always have our own identity. We always stay true to our own principles. Um, and so it's absolutely respect to no matter who we play. It is just like minor tweaks here or there.
Early exchanges, a lot of fragmented United States play. Argentina actually were fierce tonight. Fierce of spirit, fierce of play. The player who stood out earlier looked like she just wanted to assert herself with almost Emma Hayes levels of confidence. It was another Emma Sears. I mean, what a story. Goal and assist on Sunday. First player to score an assist on a US debut since Kristin Press in 2013, which is incredible company. She's a 23-year-old from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I think she lived in England for a couple of years as a youth, spent a lot of her childhood in Laguna Beach, California. I mean, she's touched every great kind of state for football, bar St. Louis, before her family moved to Dublin, Ohio, freshman year of high school. She's now a Louisville player, so this was a homecoming in many regards. Her energy, her drive in those early exchanges was a standout. You just played her right before the international break for the Thorns. What's she like to play on the field?
You know, it's funny because in preparation for games, the Thorns kind of show this like passing graph. So you have kind of their starting 11, where they typically spend most of their time on the field. And then there's like a circle around the player, and the bigger and the more bold of color, like the more dangerous the player is. And so they put up the graph, and just around Emma was this huge, like deep red circle. And we were like, oh, so she generates a lot of chances. Good to know. And like when we played her, it was very clear. I mean, she's great on the 1v1. She is just very smart in using and utilizing that speed. She had really dangerous crosses, and defensively, I think the way that she can press and kind of unsettle the back line, like we never felt settled as we were trying to play out of the back. And that's largely because you knew she was just waiting for an errant pass to pounce on.
I mean, she is. I mean, she is that kind of player that believes she's going to hurt her opponent every time the ball gets to her feet. But one question I've been dying to ask you: we're going to talk a lot about Naomi Girma for a couple of minutes, but before we talk about this Halloween outfit, Naomi Girma goal scorer that we just witnessed tonight, to me, she's the single greatest. I've talked about that for a long, long time. I think it's just her positioning, her read of the game are just, I mean, they are black belt. Her leadership of those teams at such a young age. But tonight, she had to anchor a back line. If you include the goalkeeper, I think it was 3 debutants. And you know, no one knows better than you do. Being a centre-back is about chemistry, communication, reps. So how do you go about doing that? Even wise beyond her years, she's just 24. This was, I think, a 40-second cap. How do you do what she did tonight, backline?
You really just as quickly and as possible, and maybe it's the few reps we get match day -1 together, or the first few minutes of the game, you just kind of try to read the profile of player next to you and around you. And so I'm looking for things like, are they seeming a little nervous? Are their touches a little off? Or do they look really confident? They're great in tight spaces. Defensively, are they front-footed, or are they kind of being a little bit too pessimistic? They're a little back-footed. So you're just kind of trying to read everyone as they are in the moment. And then from there, you just kind of work towards their strengths. And I think Naomi is very good about that. I think you see that everyone around her always plays well. Like, I think that's a huge testament to who she is and how she can really work towards people's strengths and minimize their weaknesses.
God, when everyone around you always, it's like you as a podcaster, Becky, you just described, but I can't say, I feel like I could run through walls here. But tonight, when the United States needed a goal, I mean, Argentina got deeper and deeper around their box. There are low blocks, and then there's like 8 players in and around your own goal mouth. 37th minute, the ecstatic breakthrough. We were holding out for a hero like Bonnie Tyler, and I will say unexpectedly, what emotions did you experience, Becky? Great central defender to great central defender when that ball span up amidst the chaos between goalkeeper and defender. And it was number 4, Naomi Girma herself, who leapt up like your average symbolic system student at Stanford to head the ball home for her first goal for the United States ever.
I gotta tell you, I always get excited when center backs get to go forward on set pieces. And like Tierna has scored a bunch of goals off set pieces. And usually Naomi is the one that stays back. Like she's the one that's kind of defensively making sure everything's shoring up. To watch her those first few times getting forward and like staying in the box, even after multiple phases, I was like, okay, I'm getting very excited. My heart rate is like getting up there. And Raj, I just love it when defenders score. I love the joy on their face, the disbelief, the way people react. Everyone is like, what? This is amazing.
And by the way, Turner scores. Alana Cook also scored a banger for the US. It is, if you're watching and you're a young athlete trying to work out how to make that leap up, it's just symbolic systems at Stanford. That is
that's all you got to major in.
No, it's all you got to do, kids. Just symbolic systems at Stanford. That's what makes a difference. I've got to say, when she scored, and the images, her face, the reactions of every single teammate, everyone on the bench, you in our text, I was just like, the world needed that ray of light in this dark time. We needed a Naomi Girma goal. We didn't know we needed it. We needed it. We needed it very badly. And how do you experience it? Seriously, you're very generous. You said, I love it when centre-backs score. I mean, I've got to acknowledge, Becky, we all wanted so badly for you, nothing more. I mean, for you to score a goal for the United States of America. I have very weird football dreams. I dream about football a lot. I actually dreamed this week that Greg Berhalter came and worked with us at Men in Blazers last week. It was really weird. He just walked into our boardroom and was like, hey, I'm Greg Berhalter. We're like, we know. He goes, I work with you now. I was like, great. I have dreamed about you scoring for the United States of America. A beautiful dream. It's from a free kick too. It was on the right-hand side. You just stepped up, said, I'm taking this, and you walked it into the right corner. How do you experience it? It must be particularly beautiful watching Naomi because you feel those feelings. You know that life.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like the joy that you feel when anyone scores, but when someone who doesn't score scores and it's just like pure unbridled joy, it's just like it really does something. And you can just tell in defenders' faces when they score because they do not know how to play it cool. Like you'll get a Lynn Williams goal and she's like, yeah, I score a lot. Like that was easy. But you have Naomi Girma who basically had a in perfect positioning, I will say, a header. The goalkeeper is out, but like the way that she responded to it, it's the way all defenders respond when they score. It's just pure madness and joy. There's no playing it cool. You're just like, go back to like your 5-year-old self first starting to shoot on goal. And it's that feeling all over again.
It is. It's Naomi Girma. It's like, let's just say, Naomi Girma spent that much time practicing celebrations. I mean, there's just a lovely image of her turning to the camera and just be like, it's the greatest. It is pure. It's what you've said, Becky. It is. It's that feeling when you first in the garden as like a 9-year-old do like 100 keepy uppies and you're just like, yes.
Yes. And no one's watching and it's just, you know that you did it.
It is the joy, the rawest, the purest joy. And thank you, Naomi, because it is so rare. I say that, but within 7 minutes, it almost happened again. I'm going to say it did, kind of. Arcing corner from Rose Lavelle. A fine flick on front post by who? Naomi Girma. Redirected by an Argentine. I think it was Cometti. Let's give Naomi all the goals, Becky. Are you okay with that?
In my head, it was a hat trick.
Yeah. I mean, are we now quadruple espresso America? I think we are. I think we are. We are quadruple espresso, right?
No, I'm going to have to say that you need to add Lynn Williams to that, and we're going a quintuple espresso. We're shaky caffeinated here.
God bless. Why stop there? Jaden, sure. Let's throw it in. What is it? Sextuplet. I don't even know what it is. I've lost count. But your point in this moment to me was like, this is me losing my mind. Naomi Girma has created another goal, but you're like set pieces.
Set pieces. Yeah, I mean, I thought Argentina, they had to defend a lot, and I think in the run of play, they were actually defending quite well. They were blocking crosses, blocking shots. They had to do a lot. And so what can you always rely on when you're just not breaking down an organized block? Set pieces. All three of our goals tonight, set pieces.
God bless. There were set pieces, and then there was just joy of different kinds. Second half started beautifully. Rose Lavelle no doubt chose Louisville to celebrate her 100th because of its proximity to her hometown, the magical kingdom of Cincinnati. I just say to watch her sub out to a standing ovation with her family there, her friends. I can't imagine what that must have felt like, especially with her dog looking on so proudly. To do it in front of her dog seeing her owner, do what she does, but in front of her dog. You know what it feels like, Becky. You've done the 100 cap celebration. You've done the 200 cap celebration.
Yeah, it really is something special. And I completely understand why Rose wanted it as close to Cincinnati as possible. I have never met another Midwesterner so proud of her city, aside from me. And I will say that my 200th cap was super special because it was in St. Louis. And just to be able to celebrate in front of your friends and family, like all the people in St. Louis that like helped raise me and make me into the person that I am now, to be able to celebrate with them, it really is such an awesome experience.
I remember watching that night. Like you don't love the spotlight. Like you're not that. Oh, make this all about me. You were, but it was so touching. Like I remember watching that. It was so very, very, very beautiful. I texted Zola that night and said, "No one deserves this more." I mean, it's a remarkable moment to step out of a football game, to lose that focus and think about yourself. Did you allow yourself to think about yourself in that moment?
No, there was just too many people that I wanted to say hi and thank you. And I mean, I had just like my dad had passed away 2 months before, so I wanted to spend time with my family. And I'm sure he had the best seat in the house. He would have been so proud. So it was just like a lot of things coming together and just wanting to celebrate everyone who helped me on the journey, even if they couldn't be there.
Teresa B in the chat says, "I'd give both arms for a Becky goal." It is still coming, Teresa B. Hold on to those limbs. You will need them when that moment
Yes,
happens.
you will have lost them.
But then it got even better. Mullinson, low cross, and who stooped to flick a header, an incredible header, into the corner. Are you kidding me? It was Naomi Girma. I just say, Emma Hayes has won 7 league titles with Chelsea, 5 FA Cups, 1 Olympic gold medal. Becky is turning Naomi Girma into a goal machine, possibly her greatest single feat of management.
I think Nay just needed the chance. She just needed to be targeted on some set pieces. I bet Nay could be as good a 9 as she is a center back. That's how good she is at soccer.
That's amazing. There's that old football chant, just give me a team of 10 Naomi Girmas.
Just clone them.
Yeah, is that what you're saying? We just need it all over the field. Let me ask you this serious question, and I want you to answer it in the chat too. Who are we dropping for Naomi Girma goal machine? I mean, Sophia, Mal or Trin? I'm kidding. I am kidding. You've already said unleash all those human wonders. Becky, tactically, because I know you don't want to be a manager, but I know you could be the best manager that's ever managed. How would you harness all of this sudden just like goal machine potency?
I would just play a 3-7 and just push all the numbers up onto the back line. We'll have 3 in the back, no midfield, and then just 7 on the line.
Midfield overrated.
Oh, absolutely. Just bypass. Just go over them.
I'd probably play Naomi Girma +1. It would be a 2 with Hal in the middle. And 7 up top. Oh, no. Naomi's got to play up top too.
I know. Because you have to clone her, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Thank you, science. 2 great goals and an armband. 2 great goals and an armband. Who else caught your eye tonight, Becky? What other player had a big night, bolstered their claim on our hearts?
I think Nay's center back partner, Ava Gaetano, I thought she looked very confident for a debut. Calm and comfy on the ball. She did really well under pressure. She was doing Cruyffs and like pullbacks when she was getting pressured. Some good range passing. So I think like if anyone's stock rose, I'd be like, I want another look at her.
What was that? You meant to be nervous on your debut. You just meant to try and fit in. She was pulling off Cruyff's tonight, right?
Yeah, like you would think, maybe a player's a little bit nervous, they play safe, they don't dribble to engage an attacker, they're just like, I will connect all my passes because they're going backwards or side to side. She's like, nah, I'm going to dribble. I'm going to do some Cruyff, some cuts. I'm going to play some seam balls. Like, yeah, I think she had a very strong day.
By the way, TR in the chat wants us to push Alyssa Nair up as well. He says Alyssa is a finisher. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. By the way, Gaetano plays for PSG in Europe. She's 21 years of age. Suddenly we have so many options in that back line. I don't know how you work out a depth chart. I don't know where she is. I don't know what she needs to do now. How does that work? I mean, there are so many options, Becky. Like, what does she need to do now?
I think she just has to consistently show well for PSG. And if she gets her chance back with the national team, every single training session matters. Every rep that you get, any minutes, like you got to make the most of them.
I loved her energy. I loved her watching her on the bench too, just unbelievably, almost supernaturally relaxed. I loved watching, I want to shout out Ashley Sanchez. I feel for her so very much to be such a staple running into the World Cup, then just not play, disappear from the national radar, move to a new team. Humanly, I mean, I can't imagine what she's been to, but to just keep scoring amidst all of that chaos. I wish Ashley Sanchez so much that's good in life. I love how she plays the game with just a real desire to try and enforce her will upon all comers. In that second half, Argentina really tired. Gaps on the field became bigger. I did wonder watching it, what can you actually learn from those moments, that last half hour against a team who is so tired and so outmatched?
I think you really learn about the players and how precise they can be in their passing, who makes the unselfish runs to open up a teammate, who has a nose for goal, obviously Naomi. Who will make a recovery run, even if Argentina's attack probably isn't going to come to anything dangerous? Who's going to always put in the work? Because if you put in the work in a game like this against Argentina, that work is going to show up in the harder matches, especially, let's say, when we play the Dutch and England later next month.
Yeah,
so I think
next month.
Exactly. So I think you just, 2 more hard games to finish up the year. But I think you just see a lot about what that player is about and their discipline, and discipline is huge.
I want to get to the questions. I want to invite all of you up to be with us. But Becky, I want to give you the last word proper on this game before we dive into our favourite part of the show. Listeners' questions. Another win, still undefeated under Emma Hayes for this US women's national team, which is a remarkable, I mean, we shouldn't take this for granted, a remarkable flipping narrative. Over the last 14 months, a clean sheet to boot. But what was your big feeling at the final whistle?
I thought a dominant final home match for the U.S. and after just a stellar year. And I know we always talk about, the future is bright, and it is. But I also want to give a lot of credit to this current crew, especially, those 100 cat milestoners. The current crop is pretty bright too. And also defender goals. You gotta celebrate the defender goals.
God, you've got to. I mean, it's like the old saying, you got to fight for your right to party is completely wrong. You've got to celebrate defender goals while we have this. But anyway, celebrating defender goals is a way to go through life, which is don't take anything for granted. And when it does happen, just revel in it as if you're at your best friend's wedding. That's what it feels like tonight. And there's no better way to celebrate these things than by taking your questions. Final score 3-0 to the US of A. As Becky had mentioned, we'll close out the year with a mini invasion of Europe. Tonight, the last 2024 game on home soil. We go off to face England at Wembley, then the Netherlands. We'll actually play so few games outside of America nowadays. This is going to be an amazing journey, really an amazing building block for so many of these new players who are being segued by Emma into the squad. But we have reached the part of the show where we get to hear from you, dear listeners. Join us here live on YouTube. Scan the QR code on the top left of your screen or click the pinned comment in the chat. Come and be with us. Come into this Zoom. with our producer who can tell you everything you need to know. Don't worry, you won't appear on screen. And if you don't want to ask a question, just give us a like. Helps more than you know. But to the questions, I'm going to call you on. Remember to take yourself off mute. That's the important part. Tell us where you're from. What's your question? First up, it's the mighty Eleanor. Eleanor, welcome. Tell us where you are and what your question is.
Hi, I'm Elena. I am calling from Seattle, Washington. And my question for Becky is, what book captures who Naomi Girma is as a person and player?
Oh,
God, what a question. Eleanor, I'm going to get you back on to tell us your answer to your own incredible question. But Becky, this is amazing.
this is an excellent question. And I don't think I have a perfect answer, but I would say that a perfect book for Nay is just like a book where you put it away and you feel like you've just been hugged. You know, it just, your soul is light. And so I'm going to go for like one of those lighter hearted sci-fi books, Legends and Lattes. That would be like one of those, no real stakes, but afterwards you're just like, oh man, like I could do anything right now. I could run through a wall.
I mean, she is that person, Naomi, spending time with her. She is the person that could do anything she sets her mind to. She is such a strong human being. Ellen, I'm just playing for time so that you can come back on and just slay us with your answer. I mean, to me, she's like Lizzie Bennett in Pride and Prejudice, but you tell us who she is.
I wish I had prepared myself for this question. And I just, was looking to Becky in her infinite wisdom, as I do in all things in life. But I love Legends and Lattes. Travis Baldry is fantastic. I think Nay plays with such a combination of grit and joy that I think, there has to be a combination in a book somewhere where those two things shine through. But maybe that book isn't out there yet because there's nobody else out there like Naomi Girma.
Oh, yes. Well done. So true.
We need more questions on it. By the way, I'd love to get Rose Lavelle. I do feel like you mentioned Rose Lavelle. I mean, we have to mention that she's with what's the Amazon thing, the tablet thing,
The Kindle.
Yeah, we have to mention that because she's sponsored by Kindle, so we have to, when we mention books and Rose, we've got to get her plug in. But she has inherited the literature mantle. Are you a Kindle reader, or do you read books? Which are you?
I am both, but more Kindle than physical nowadays, just because of travel. Like, it's great to have 50 books and just a little tablet than have to try to carry 3.
Yes, if I too was traveling and playing away games every other one, I'd probably be a Kindle person. But I was looking for this quote, Elizabeth Bennett, that reminds me of when Naomi Girma plays. There's a stubbornness about me that can never bear to be frightened at the will of others. My courage always rises at every attempt to intimidate me. That, to me,
I love that.
What I feel when I watch Naomi Girma play. She is genuinely, we've just seen the Ballon d'Or. Naomi Girma, if defenders were given their due, to me, she is the Ballon d'Or. I've never seen in this 2020, what year are we in, 2024 season, someone play with that kind of ferocity. But next up, it's another E. It's all the E's tonight. Elisa, tell us where you are and what's your question for Becky?
Hi, guys. My name's Elisa. I'm from St. Louis. Becky, represent.
Love that.
Yeah, as we saw Nay, she got the captain's armband when Lindsay got subbed off. So, Becky, I'm wondering, as a humble and quiet leader yourself, what does that feel like to get the captain's armband for the first few times, especially in the middle of a game? And is it almost uncomfortable, for lack of a better word, because you're kind of slowly developing into this leader, but you haven't really been kind of in that role for a long period of time, per se?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first time I ever wore the armband, I was in Algarve, and one of the coaches took me to the side and they were like, hey, we're not really starting our regular starters. And so we actually would like you to captain the side. And I was so thrown because I had not ever thought of myself as a leader or a future leader of this group, because I just had so many giants and greats that I was currently playing with. It just like never crossed my mind. And so I was kind of like thrust into that. And I was like, and I just remember being like, wow, this is a kind of a big responsibility and such an honor. Like I can talk on and on about what an honor it is to be able to wear an armband for the national team. But it is something that I think Naomi knows that she's a leader. I think she's proven that over the last, I don't know, 2 years that she's really been getting minutes. And this team is so much better for having her and having her in that position because I think she's just a special person, obviously a special player. And I'm so glad that the staff, that the players, that even though she's younger, they all accept it because they all see it. You know, she's willing to do the work. Obviously very compassionate. She has all the things that can make a great leader. And so to see her getting the armband, even, you know, even if it's Lindsay passing it off to her, like there's going to come a day when she's going to be wearing that sucker and she's going to be passing it off to the next lucky person. But yeah, the national team is in great hands for the foreseeable future when it comes to leadership because you've got people like Nay.
I'm fascinated. I mean, there's that obviously that book, Susan Cain, Quiet, The Power of Introverts, loud introverts or almost extrovert introverts. For you, when you put that on, Becky, I mean, you are just probably the most influential leader I've seen in a team over a prolonged period. When you don't like talking about it, but when you do talk to US players who play with you, they'll all say that in difficult moments they ask themselves, what would Becky do? Like with no humor. It wasn't them trying to be funny but it was like you led with your ideas, with your thought, with a sense of moral rectitude. But when you first put that armband on, what did it do for you in your own identity and your own sense of self and your own sense of confidence?
It definitely opened up the possibility for me to grow into a leader, whereas I had never thought that that was in my future. Just giving me that little glimpse of what someone saw in me allowed me to feel that in myself and go from there. So it's kind of like we always talk with the national team about getting your foot in the door. For me, it was like getting my foot in the leadership door and just kind of like testing it out. What kind of leader can I be? And I luckily, got the torch passed on to me from some real greats, like Abby Wambach, Shannon Box, Lori Kolupny, like some of these players that have been through it. And so, yeah, it just kind of gave me a glimpse of something I had never really thought about myself. And just that glimpse sparked something that has led to, luckily, what I've been able to do with the team from that moment.
Was there one of those leaders that you looked at and tried to model yourself on? Was there anybody in your own football playing reality that you were like, I can be like that person?
I mean, I really appreciated how Shannon Box led the team, how she played her quiet confidence, but when things mattered, she was willing to step up and say something and use her voice. And she was not hugely outspoken. She was probably more like me, maybe a little bit more on the quiet side, but not necessarily shy. And so to have her, I didn't get to play with her as long as I wish I could have, but just having those few years, like I feel like I learned a lot from her.
I can't tell if that piece of management that led up to you putting the armband on for the first time was a stroke of genius or deeply undermining. Like no one's really playing, so you're going to be captain.
Here you go. We didn't think about it, but yeah. To me, it was this like huge revolution.
Yeah, whether that took pressure off you and they were doing it intentionally, or whether it was just like what
an afterthought. Here you go.
Yeah, but it worked. Did you feel that? Do you feel that piece of fabric on your arm? Were you conscious of it differently in the first couple of times?
I mean, there's a sense of weight to it, and it's good that it's weighty because that means that it's important to you, and the way that you portray yourself on the field and the way that you're a spokesperson for the group, like that armband shows that and allows you and facilitates that. And so there is definitely something to it. And Raj, it's such an honor, talking with Lindsay as she became captain and talking a little bit with Nay as she's become co-captain with Lindsay. Like there's something to it. And the weight is also a privilege.
The wait is also a privilege. We'll take a couple more questions before we go tonight. We're moving into the M's with Marisa. Come on up. Tell us where you are and what's your question.
Hey, Becky. Hey, Raj. I'm Marissa from Florida. I have two questions for you. So my first is, can you share your favorite memory or most memorable moment with Rose off the field? And then my second question is, because I haven't been able to find this information anywhere. So I am about to graduate medical school and be an emergency room physician in a couple of months.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
well, honestly, like Becky, you, Lynn, Sam have been so inspiring to me, like everything that you say about injuries and whatnot. And I really want to be an NWSL team physician now. And I was wondering if you ever see any doctors on the sidelines at your games, because I want to know what I'm shooting for here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Two-parter. First part with Rose, I still got to go with the Celine Dion on stage at the 2022 gala. It was like iconic. It was truly amazing. I will also say there were smaller, quieter moments with Rose. We were talking about Kindle. She is attached to this thing. Like it would be like we'll be doing activation on game day in preparation for the game. And everyone's kind of like chatting and rolling out. And can you kind of like look over to Rose and she's just like glued to this Kindle, just reading some, I don't even know, most likely fiction. But I love that so much about Rose because I am also a reader. And I love that this next crop of national team player, this current crop, like they're such readers. I'm like, yes, like if any part of me will live on with the national team, it is that these people love to read. I will take that as a great honor. And as for physicians and the NWSL, oh yes, we have every team has a doctor, if not two or three on call. They can be GPs, they can be orthopedic surgeons. And yeah, so like if you aim to be an NWSL team physician, yes, you absolutely can go for it. We have to have them at games. So like, yes, go for it. We would love to have more doctors.
I love to hear that.
Where are you, Marisa? Where in Florida are you?
I'm from Orlando.
Oh, that's convenient.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get your LinkedIn, and just tag in Marta, and I think everything will just go okay. I think you're selling yourself short, Becky, if you're saying that your legacy is just a reading. I think there's also the Settlers of Catan as well. That will also be part of the legacy of.
That's Kelly. That's Kelly O'Hara. She brought that. Raj, she was teaching me how to play and was like purposely withholding key rules. So she just completely kicked my ass the first time we played. And I was like, Kelly, was that even fun for you? And she's like, yeah, I won. And I was like, fair. Okay.
That's so Kelly. I'm going to teach you just enough so I can absolutely destroy you.
Yeah, throttled me.
Yeah, that's very, very Kelly. God, the Rose thing is amazing. One thing that I found fascinating about her is in our ever more connected world, in tournament play, she's one of the players that most disconnects, right? I mean, that is her. She just like even her best friends are like, oh, Rose doesn't speak to us at all. We won't get a text from her. She won't touch her phone. Once tournaments begin, she's like off the grid.
Yeah, and that's becoming more and more of a topic as teams enter these world events is social media, outside influences, outside obligations, sponsors, those kind of things, and how you can really protect yourself and create a bubble because sometimes the things that are said are more than critical. They're harsh, they're out of line, and they can get into your head and you're already in a stressful environment. Why make it even more difficult for yourself? And so absolutely all for players creating boundaries and bubbles for themselves.
Because she is the ultimate bubble player in every regard. Godspeed, Rose. Congratulations again on tonight. And just her and a dog dancing, doing a Celine Dion duet tonight, whatever celebration is going on, will just be amazing. Last question of the night. It's another M. It's the great Maya closing the show. Tell us where you are, Maya, and what's your question for Becky?
Hello. Can you hear me first of all?
Yep.
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm Maya from Cincinnati, Ohio.
The city that Rose Lavelle built.
Yeah, I am not that far away from where she grew up, actually.
You are honored.
Yeah. I am, first of all, a huge fan of Good Vibes Study.
Awesome.
Yeah. My question is, what is your favorite European stadium to play in or go to?
Great question.
Great question.
And our national team is about to go there. I would have to say playing at Wembley is just something beautiful. I mean, I grew up watching the national team, the men's national team play there. And then for the 2012 London Olympics, we had our final there, 80,000 plus. We win a gold medal. And then we got to go back. I think it was going into 2023. And just playing in that stadium where a lot of greats of the game have played. It's so great to see the women's team playing there and just selling out. So I'm going to have to go with Wembley.
What does that really feel like, Becky? Because it is amazing. You speak to a lot of the players. Like it feels like Wembley is Wembley. It's like, I mean, it's just vaunted. It's historic, but also that it's full when you're playing an international game. 80,000 fans. There's something about the past. There's something about the present too. It's like a very, very beautiful moment. But what does it mean to you in those dressing rooms, running out onto that field? I mean, also the fact that the US play so few games on the road now for many, many different reasons. I mean, can you describe for us what we're about to hit in November, or as you called it, like the month after this one? Or, I can't remember this.
Yeah, I was like,
it's a great save.
My brain didn't work on that one. To me, it's like comparing to where we've been and, maybe a decade ago when we would play in England, we would play at a smaller stadium. I think one time we played England at Leyton Orient Stadium, and a smaller stadium, not at all Wembley. And then we would have a closed door match because there just wasn't enough interest for us to play a second match at a stadium. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, absolutely not. We're selling out Wembley. And for me to run onto a pitch and warm up and just to see 80,000 plus screaming, not for my team, but for the other team, you're just kind of proud. You're like, wow, I was a part of this journey of the women's game to get to this part. And so there's a lot of honor to that.
I mean, I think that's so beautiful. I've said that, like I grew up in England where if you were a girl or a woman that played football, it was like you were flung to the periphery. It's a misogynistic, macho football culture. Women have had to fight tooth and nail for everything. There's no Title IX. And the rise of the women's game there, and the fact that the Lionesses are one of the most joyful faces of the nation in this modern reality is one of the most remarkable footballing stories I've seen in my lifetime. I cannot wait for that game. There's one great question that's just come in. Nike Sav 21. I mean, it kind of closes this 3-game cycle. I mean, wondering ahead, who will start in that game? Is there anyone from these past couple of games that's really made a claim for you, Becky, to, not just to be part of a squad when there's 3 games compressed in a tiny window and many of the starters are out? When you look back on this past 8 days of football, is there any footballer that was not in the Olympic squad that you think that human being has made a mark and we're going to see them woven into the future fabric?
I think if Alyssa Thompson continues the form that she's been in for Angel City, and then the impact that she had in the friendlies that she played for the US during this break, I would want to see her get some minutes in a game like that, high pressure, not high stakes necessarily, but like she's going to feel that. Everyone's going to feel that. And to see how she reacts in that kind of environment, I think she's going to thrive. I think she's got a long future with the national team. And so I'd really love to see her get some minutes there.
God bless, Godspeed. I hope that is true. By the way, it feels like, I don't know if it's just me, it feels like months ago that Alyssa Thompson scored that opening goal.
I know.
In the first game of this window. This is the world in great ways and in terrible ways that it feels like months ago that incurred. I want to give you the last word on tonight, but I also want to say this. This Friday, we debut our show. I mentioned it earlier with a quite magical, quite beautiful, quite uplifting Noah Khan. on our YouTube. It's actually on Men in Blazers YouTube. Launches this Friday. We go deep. It's a long conversation, really about the joy football. It's a gentleman that obviously we love him for his music. I think football has brought him in his life when he's needed it, what his music brings to many of us in the here and now, in the darkest of times. It's a really beautiful conversation. Becky, I'm going to ask you one more question, but you tell us what you've got coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, please don't forget Sam Mewis, Len Williams, and I. We do a podcast together every week. It drops on Tuesdays. It's called Good Vibes. We recap the previous weekend's action in the NWSL, the WSL, USWNT, anything really. The women's game also has a weekly interview podcast called Friendlies that drops on Thursdays. Tomorrow, the great, the hilarious, the amazing Sydney LaRue joins Sam on that show. So make sure to tune in wherever you get your podcasts or on the Women's Game YouTube channel.
Becky, give us one last message. I always ask you this when no matter what is going on in the world, because you do actually deliver. But this is let's just say it's a crazy time in the world, lots of chaos. And I do always feel lighter. I feel better, feel more optimistic about speaking to you. So let me give you the last word. I guess I'm asking, tell me it's going to be okay, Becky Sauerbrunn, even though it's might not be.
Well, I mean, you think of Naomi Girma scoring these goals, creating a third, like miracles happen, but also when small things occur that make you happy, just celebrate the heck out of it. Those small things are going to add up. And I know that this world right now, crazy chaos, like you're never alone. You're never helpless, as much as it can feel that way sometimes. And yeah, we're going through a bit of a tough time, but there's always an after from the tough. And so I think sometimes you just have to keep your eye set on that after to help you get through it.
Becky Sauerbrunn, I'll just say the following. It's a hard thing to read after the beautiful thing you just said. All of our podcasts are available on YouTube.
It's a beautiful, Raj. Keep going.
Becky's bringing the enlightening, and I'm telling you, wherever you get your podcasts, you can also follow along across all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, even Threads at Women's Game MIB. So much incredible work being done by so many incredible human beings, just trying to do good things with great people and bring so much joy to this world. Send us an email at women'sgamemib@meninblazers.com. Hugest thank you to all of you watching along with us tonight, to all of our callers. Just so much love. And most importantly, to you, Becky Sauerbrunn. I hope you know this. You're going to deflect now, and we're going to end on that note. You are one of one.
Thanks, Raj. You're right. I am going to deflect. You are also one of one then.
I'm one of about 330 million human beings in this nation. It's incredible to be with you. Everyone, we don't take it for granted. Big love from all of us. Courage.